Welcome to Knights of Mandalore. I almost said under two capes because I'm so used to that. But anyway, welcome to Knights of Mandalore. I am Jared, your host, and today we're talking about the Bad Batch. And to join us on the Bad Batch, I have my co-host for Under Two Capes, Lad. Lad, welcome to Knights of Mandalore.
Hi everyone. I'm not used to being here. I'm not really into Star Wars too much. Honestly, I really hate Star Wars, but I really enjoyed the last one that came out. Rise of Skywalker. I really enjoyed it.
Oh
and when Rey and Ben kissed, that was really touching to me. That was probably my favorite moment. Second to when she said she was Rey Skywalker.
Oh my gosh.
Moment. So
I'm starting to regret asking you to come on this.
No. So right. I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, like Jared. I've watched all of Clone Wars and now I'm watching through Bad Batch.
Yeah. So first off, I just want to say this show is awesome.
It really is. It sets some good stuff with the first episode.
All right, so Lad, first I want to get your overall thoughts on Bad Batch. Go.
So overall, it feels like we picked up where we left off with Clone Wars. Honestly, started off like a Clone Wars episode, and it feels like it never ended. It just feels like, this is continuing it from we got plenty of episodes in Clone Wars where it didn't focus on Anakin, Obi-Wan, or Ahsoka, focusing on the clones or even on the Sith sometime. So this feels like, it really just feels like season 8.
Yeah, exactly. I call it Clone Wars season 8 because that's basically what it is now.
Yep.
So a couple of things. So we're going to talk about all 3 of the episodes, but we're not going to do like plot like summaries like we normally do because anyone can just do that. We'll just talk about each episode as we go along. So the first, I found it interesting how they basically made a movie, a Bad Batch movie, and put that out, just like how when Clone Wars started, they made a Clone Wars movie.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
And I liked how Kanan showed up. That was unexpected. I was watching the episode, and then when the announcer said the name of the Jedi Master, I was like, where have I heard that name before? And then Kanan goes, Master, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't really sound like a kid, but I didn't really care. I love the fact that if they
it's played by the same guy who plays Kanan.
Right. So I was like, I'll just pretend it's a kid voice. I don't really care. It's so good.
Suspension of disbelief. We're talking about a world with space magic, bro.
Yeah. So that was really cool to see. It really ties in with, since we have Clone Wars and Rebels tied into Clone Wars really well, it just feels like, all the animated shows are really well connected together, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I liked how the Bad Batch show up. They just toss a rock at a bunch of battle droids, and the battle droids are like, oh no!
Yeah, felt some classic battle droid action.
They still have the same voices. They sound exactly the same. It's like, round.
Yeah, dude. And, we have to mention that little intro scene, after they showed the logo where they recreated a couple scenes from the third
episode
movie.
3 in that animation. I was like, oh, I see what they're doing now. Even Tyler, when I was watching with him, he goes, that is so cool.
That was so good with Grievous, punching in the escape pod, and
Anakin and Obi-Wan saving the Chancellor.
I know, dude. That was really good.
And then, of course, when Tech goes, General Kenobi has engaged General Grievous on Utapau. I was like, oh.
Hello there.
And, as soon as the clone commander puts his head to the side of his helmet, I was like, oh, that's where this starts off.
Yep. Right. So that was, oh boy, that was definitely a good place to start it off. I think it's
immediately.
It's a really interesting to see because we are we follow the movies and we always see everything from the Jedi perspective of oh no, they were tricked by Palpatine and then they were wiped out and how horrible this is. The Empire took over, but we kind of in that headspace. But now with the Bad Batch series, we get to see it from the clone perspective and also a little bit of the civilian perspective of maybe all the Jedi being wiped out didn't seem like that big of a deal because most people don't know what the Jedi are doing. They're like kind of like this weird mystical space cult that like lead the clone armies. But there's all this reports out here saying there's footage of the Jedi attacking Chancellor Palpatine, and supposedly there's falsified evidence that the Jedi were all colluding to take over the Senate and the Republic. So the clones turning on them was a good thing and try and wipe them out. And we need to establish a new empire to make things safer. Like from the average clone perspective, that kind of makes sense. And from a regular citizen, it's like the perfect, cover story.
Yeah, exactly. And I liked, so what do you think about how it shows like, and this is going a little bit into episodes 2 and 3, how they show about how, first off, the clone troopers now have no colored armor. It's just straight white. Yeah. And then even the voice, like microphones that they speak through even sound like stormtroopers now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely saw a little bit of that. I think it's pretty cool. They all like lost their individuality, basically.
Pretty much. I liked how, so immediately the Empire's like, all right, we don't need clones anymore.
Yep.
Almost
yeah.
Immediately, I'm like, come on, guys.
No, yeah. I like some of that debate Tarkin was having with Lama Su, I think his name is. That's the main
Prime
long neck.
Camino.
Prime Minister Camino. Yep. That was a little good, a little bit of stuff there. They're trying to see like, hey, is it worth keeping around these super expensive clones, or maybe we can just have a conscription service? And I thought that was kind of cool. I liked that little bit of like discussion there.
What do you think of how they did the chips with the Bad Batch?
I was kind of surprised because I was thinking that like, oh, they're all like, enhanced. They probably won't have Order 66. The chips won't work in them. But then all of a sudden I saw Crosshairs was trying to shoot Caleb, but he wasn't like fully committed to it. He wasn't like blank slated like all the other clones, but he was definitely getting some sort of Order 66 command.
Yeah. The minute I heard him say good soldiers follow orders, I was like, oh, okay, he's turning evil.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked by that.
So yeah, but that was so cool. Seeing the debate between him and Hunter about the order and about how Hunter's like, yeah, this makes no sense, bro.
Right, yeah. It seems kind of like out of the blue, and they're like saying, well, there were, I think Tech was saying like, there's evidence, people, it's been documented that they put inhibitor chips to, make us more passive than our, clone, Django was, right? To steady them. He's saying like, it's possible that they could have done something to, control the clones, and maybe we all have that, so they're kind of like, they're trying to figure out what's going on also,
Yeah. It's just kind of funny because I think it was Clone Wars that retconned the inhibitor chips, because beforehand, like in episode 2, they led you to believe that they're just ridiculously trained to follow orders. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
I guess they kind of had to like rectify that little plot like irregularity after it became canon that some clones didn't follow Order 66.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Clone Wars got us so attached to all the different clones, and they showed us like individuality as opposed to the movie where they're all blank slate. So I think introducing the whole idea of inhibitor chips is kind of cool and adds more mystery to everything, but also a good way of like explaining why all these people would, follow orders and just turn on their Jedi,
Yeah. Yeah, they had to have at least some explanation, because otherwise it would just be like, otherwise it wouldn't make that much sense. All right, so now, what did you think of the dynamic that now they're being hunted by their own?
So that was pretty interesting. I didn't actually see that coming, like, because I saw, all the kind of promotional, media showing them like all of them together, and they're like, oh, the 5 of them. But then, it's like, oh, wait a second, Crosshairs was like, his chip gets fully like, amplified. He's like full like Order 66 now, and he's gonna be following orders, and he just like turns on them. Now it's like, wow, it's kind of crazy because I thought the series was heading one direction. All of a sudden now they're being hunted down by crosshairs, so it's pretty tough. What do you think?
Yeah. I also did not see that coming. I had some suspicions when Crosshair kept going, good soldiers follow orders, and he kept like when Tarkin says that, yeah, one of the Bad Batch members said that they didn't kill the Jedi. I was like, well, that's interesting. But then when he shows up in the full black trooper garb with the sniper rifle, I was like, first off, that armor looks amazing. And second off, I was like, oh, this is dope.
That was really good, dude. And boy, okay, something we have to get into is about Omega. What do you think the deal with, like, what do you think of her introduction, first of all, and then we're gonna get into like discussion of why is she here, why is she important? So like, what do you think of her, first of all?
She's an interesting character. I get what they're trying to do. I and like a lot of fans online have been saying that they're basically applying the Mandalorian formula by giving the badass a kid.
I see what you're saying,
but they have the potential to make this different. Now the thing is, I'm wondering, who is she a clone of? Now they kind of hint at this in episode 3, but they're not exactly sure, because she can't be a clone of Jango, because if she is a clone of Jango, how come there aren't more female clones?
Right. Yeah, it kind of
all male.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering a bit about that. It didn't seem like it could be Jango. Like, I mean, we've seen that like in Marvel, they have X-23, I think, is a female clone of Wolverine, right?
But I think they manipulated her genes.
Right. I think you're right. It's possibly a clone of a female, or
they did say like she's like an enhanced clone, like Clone Force 99. So it's possible.
She has some sort of modification.
Yeah, she's definitely some type of enhanced clone. Yeah, I felt like that was interesting when like it finally clicks with them. Oh yeah, he mentioned 5 enhanced clones and Echo's a reg. So what are you talking about, guys? So all of a sudden it clicks. Oh yeah, she's the other clone. And then I love how Tech, he's like, I thought it was obvious.
Yeah.
Why did you tell us this, dude? I thought it was obvious. How else would they be able to control us?
Okay, so I think we have to talk about is the team dynamic, because I know when I first saw like the original Bad Batch arc, they were cool and all, but I thought they were a little bit too like stereotype of like each of their characters. But I think they changed their personalities a little bit, and they work better as a group now, and they have some good playing off of each other. Like Tech is,
I agree,
he's doing some like crazy like science stuff, and he's like like, oh, I can do this easily, like, well, it's like, I hope it's not a sort of test of our intellect, because we would lose that for sure.
Yeah.
like some comments like that, which is pretty funny.
I love where he's walking past some clone troopers. He goes, "Hey trooper, what's your number?" And then the clone just blows him off, and then that goes like, and then Tech's like, "Well, they seem normal to me."
Yeah, no, they did some really good stuff with that, honestly. Oh,
no,
man.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they made them more unique characters as opposed to when they just introduced them in a Clone Wars season 7.
Right. Something I was saying with my sister, that Hunter, he was kind of like a little bit distant before, and like he's like the leader, like kind of very firm in what he believes in. But I like how they kind of made him a little bit like Rex. They kind of copied a little bit of cues from Rex, where he's kind of like the leader, but he's unsure of what's going on, trying to figure out what's happening. Oh yeah, and like made it a bit more relatable. Hunter definitely did a lot better in this.
I like, because what we're seeing in this series is what happens when an independent thinker is given an order that makes no sense. The whole reason why they have the inhibitor chips is so this doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah,
But
there you go.
now the chip thing is interesting because in episode 3, Tech is designing that scanner, and then what I think could happen is that the Bad Batch could return to Kamino at some point in the episode and just shut down every chip, and all of a sudden the clones wake up.
That could be kind of interesting.
And then that's how we have the Clone Rebellion.
That could be really cool. I mean, hey, it's possible.
How dope would it be to have the clones versus stormtroopers?
Dude, that'd be kind of crazy if we actually get to see something like that. I mean, they're hinting towards a little bit of the dark troopers with Crosshair and stuff, and others. They looked a bit dark troopery.
What I want to see is Rex and Cody come face to face, because remember, Cody's Empire at this point.
Yeah, I forget. I don't think we really know too much about what happens to Cody after.
I think he gets blown up on the Death Star.
That'd be funny.
He gets that post, yeah. But I definitely want to. I hope they're going to this, which it looks like they're going in this direction. It may not even be the Bad Batch. I think it might be the Kaminoans, because they sense that the Empire's about to screw them. So they're like, well, all the clones wake up. Okay, we're gonna go fight the Empire now, and then that would explain why there's so few clones in Rebels, because they all got wiped out pretty much.
Right. It's definitely something to consider. I mean, we know the Kaminoans are kind of up to a few things. Like, they don't want to lose. Like, this is their biggest business. I bet they do other cloning jobs, but this like creations of armies is like a really big thing for them. And we know that during the Clone Wars, their like senator and stuff push for more clone armies, increasing the war efforts to try to get more clones. So now they're, at risk of losing their business here. What links will they go to ensure that they keep on their business and they can continue doing their clone stuff? We know something with Omega. They said, don't tell the Empire that Omega escaped. Don't say anything about her. So something going on with her. What's going on? We gotta find that out.
That'd be definitely interesting. I feel like they're gonna say like she was a clone of a Force user, and that's why they're trying to hide her from the Empire.
Possible.
Kind of like Grogu.
She did have like, I don't know, she may have Force power, but she definitely had some sort of like being able to kind of like read feelings, or like being able to kind of get someone's aura, like basically a vibe check. Like, she could tell like Crosshairs that something was wrong with him and that he wasn't his fault, and she's good connecting with people, like emotionally understanding stuff like that. And remember when she used the blaster, she kind of picked it up right away and knew what to do. So she said, I have never fired a blaster before. And it was like a perfect shot to shoot the blaster out of his hand, So there's definitely something going on with her. Maybe she's Force sensitive clone, or maybe she has some sort of like empathy, or like or like understanding ability, or she can like understand how to use the blaster, understand other people's auras. I don't know, something's going on there. The empathy thing I'm not so sure about, because, well, on Kamino they tell you that she was hanging out in the medical wing, so it stands to and she knew about the inhibitor chip, so it stands to reason that she would know the signs of when the chip is activating or something like that, or if it's malfunctioning. So that's what I caught up on when Crosser was holding his head and she's like, I know what you're gonna do. I mean, it could be that somehow she can sense his feelings. Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. So I like how now the Kaminoans are trying to help people, because if you notice in the episode where they first brought in the inhibitor chip, they're kind of trying to screw everyone. Yeah, and I thought it was kind of interesting because where they brought in the inhibitor chip with the whole Fives arc, where back in season 6, season 6 it was, and where that had that whole arc, the Kaminoan that was really trying to stop them from finding the information was Lama Su, the Kaminoan we see a lot in this episode of the Bad Batch. the one that with Omega. Like, she was in that arc and she was reporting to Darth Sidious or Darth Tyrannus about what was happening. And she was actually the one that injected the drug into Fives to make him seem crazy. And then ended up that whole thing going south. And now we see her here with Omega, and she actually helped the Bad Batch escape and helped Omega escape. And she didn't tell, the Prime Minister that she did that. She said they just escaped. So what is she really playing at here, So
it could be that it was one of those things where she was like coerced into making Fives go crazy. And because Lama Su, the Prime Minister, seems the most like shady.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's now starting to say, what have I got to lose? I might as well help people. Because they know that if the Empire stops making clones, they're gonna end up taken out.
That's right.
So what did you think about Crosshair's arc leading those troopers to take out Saw Gerrera's people?
Oh, that was kind of intense, honestly. Like,
Clone
Wars never really did stuff like. I mean, Clone Wars did do stuff like that. So, but I mean, like, yeah, that's pretty intense to see, like, what they, how much of like a robot it kind of turns you into, just like a pure soldier. The
a chips. Droid, if you will.
Basically, yeah, that's actually a good way to describe it. Just like a organic droid that just listens to orders.
Yeah,
pretty intense.
I'm half expecting a clone trooper to go Roger, Roger.
Yeah,
which is interesting because you just traded one droid army for another.
That's right. So
let's see what else.
What do you think about like some of the? I really like some of Omega's dynamic with some of the members of the team, like how she found Wrecker's stuff, like
his doll, his Lula
doll, yeah, and in the cell when Hunter was trying to decide what to do, he was like going like this,
and she was imitating Hunter. That was good. Right. I like that. I noticed that my third watch through, I was like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, dude,
that was great.
Something that we were joking about at my place was that the fact that they broke out of the cell and then like, oh, she's small, she's the only one that can fit into that chain, that hatch. We were joking, it's the same thing. She's a small character in Lego Star Wars. She's the Wicket,
yes,
and like young
those
Anakin.
Small hat, the small hatch you can go through. Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, she was one of those small characters, and she could get fit through the hatch.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's Dave Filoni making a reference to that.
Yeah, it felt like that. I just got that vibe from it.
That's actually a really good point. I never noticed that.
No, boy.
But anyway, yeah, I think that this was the first time I've ever seen a Clone Wars anything talk about shooting civilians. I was like, oh god! And when that one stormtrooper said, "No, we're soldiers, not murderers," Crosshairs just shoots them.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I was like, oh wow, he's actually standing up for that. Like, he was the guy that was kind of acting a bit like a douchebag a couple minutes earlier towards Crosshairs, but he actually said, hey, we're not actually gonna go. We're not an execution squad. We're not going to do that. And so I was like, oh, at least, someone has morals around here. And then Crosshairs just takes them out.
That's interesting because what the Empire is not thinking about when they replace these clones that are bred to follow orders and have the chip is that when you recruit a stormtrooper, there's still the chance that they will be independent thinkers like the Bad Batch or douchebag, if you will. That's his new call sign. That's how we'll refer to him.
Yeah.
But where, as opposed to Crosshair, he'll follow orders no matter what because the chip's in his head.
Yeah.
So if they want a fighting force that will follow orders without questions, don't go with stormtroopers. Plus the fact, I love how, by the way, apparently the early stormtroopers were pretty good shots and it just went downhill from there because one of those snipers took out the pilot of a gunship. I'm like, whoa, where the hell were you people?
Yeah, right. I mean, hey, these people seem pretty good.
I love how they're using clone trooper armor too.
Yeah, that's really good, isn't it?
That was really. I was like, oh, so apparently they haven't changed the design yet.
Mhm. Something that came to my mind because they keep talking about the fact that we amplified Crosshair's chip to make it that he did followed orders, and they keep making a point of that, of like, hey, it's successful, this works, and it makes me wonder, like, okay, but that's cool that it works, but is that useful? What is there some possible plan they have for that? Because they don't need to enhance the clones protocols anymore with like, say, the chip. But I'm wondering, like, are they considering using conscripted soldiers and then putting chips in their head, make them follow orders?
That
like
could be
Crosshairs?
interesting.
Is that like maybe something they consider?
Maybe they could also be thinking, hey, if the Bad Batch ever comes back here, we can capture them and enhance their chips, and now we have a clone death squad.
That's true. It's true.
But I just love how we're seeing a lot of foreshadowing to the Empire, because like we have what are essentially death troopers. You have those droids that at the Bad Batch was fighting in those simulations that were basically like invincible. Again, basically death troopers.
Right.
And then once again, full white stormtrooper armor. All right. So speaking of that episode, what do you think? How we finally got the return of Cutler Quain?
I thought that was pretty trippy. I kind of got spoiled with it, but it was really cool because he was just in the one episode back in Clone Wars, but he was a standout, kind of like showing that clone troopers could be free thinkers and that he had like the family and everything, which I'll get to a point about that in a second. But it was cool to see him back again, and it made sense for like the Bad Batch's story. See like another free thinker, self-proclaimed free thinker like Cutler Quain.
Yeah, it makes sense. I loved. Yeah, as soon as they said, okay, so we know a guy. Well, first off, when they ended episode 1, I thought they were talking about Rex. Like, oh, they're gonna go get Rex. But then when they landed in Saleucami, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing there.
Saleucami. Yeah. Right.
How soon do you think until we see Captain Rex?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, we saw it in the trailer. It could be. It's I don't think it'd be the season finale. I think it's going to be before that.
Oh,
maybe in a couple episodes or so. Because Rex is going around trying to. I don't know. Seems like he's going around trying to find clones that didn't follow the Order 66, or just he's trying to find information. I guess him and Ahsoka have split ways, and Cut said that he was talking about like implanted chips and like following orders and everything like that. So Rex definitely has some sort of mission he's on. So it'd be kind of cool to see what's going on.
Yeah, I definitely think it's not going to be the end of the season, because I think the end of the season is going to be the Clone Rebellion.
That'd be kind of crazy if we get it this season.
That'd be so dope. The Battle Camino. Okay, so now here's another question. Do you think we lose a couple of Bad Batch people?
That'd be intense. Because the thing is, with Clone Wars, we always kind of knew, what characters would survive. And the question was Ahsoka and Rex and stuff like that. And, with Rebels, we actually got a show where these were all new characters. So they were able to kill off, like, Kanan. So the question is, with Bad Batch, these are new characters, basically. They could kill off a character to whenever. Like, there's nothing is set in stone here. We're playing with new characters. So, hey, I mean, that'd be kind of crazy if they killed off someone, before like the very end of the series, like earlier on in the series, and kind of surprised us.
That could happen. And have it be Crosshairs who does it.
No, that'd be so dark if Crosshairs kills one of the members.
Wouldn't that be dark?
I would, if they did that, I would want it to be that like Echo God gets killed, but he actually like becomes more cyborg, and he's literally just a full robot with like his mind inside of it, kind of like General Grievous basically, but like his mind, like he's kind of goes a full transition to like a robot or something like that. That way you can like kill him.
So in other words, he's more machine now than man.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I definitely like that. I think personally, that I think Tech will probably get killed. I think Hunter is going to be the last one standing.
Hunter. Yeah.
Hunter and maybe Omega.
Yeah, I mean, Omega is you know, Omega and Hunter are like group, you know, they got.
And then I definitely think so. If we do the Clone Rebellion, can you imagine if Commander Cody is leading the Stormtroopers and Captain Rex is leading the clones?
And
then you have a battle between the two, and Rex actually has to kill Cody, which would explain why in Rebels he has those PTSD flashbacks where he goes, Cody.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it's possible, right? I mean,
and then watch Obi-Wan show up and go, hello there.
Hello there. Yeah.
That'd be great.
I mean, there's really a lot of, you know, we really don't know what direction exactly we're heading, you know, like we know that the Crosshair, the Empire is restructuring. They're trying to figure out what they want to do with the clone army versus a conscripted army. We see Crosshairs trying, he's going to be hunting down eventually his, fellow people. And also the Bad Batch are kind of just right now on the run. They're just trying to hide. But what will be their objective? Will it be to find other people like Rex that they can, form, hide out with? Do they want to form a rebellion? Do they want to save other clone troopers? Are they going to get involved in something else? We don't really know where they're heading yet. So it's kind of mystery still.
Yeah, I think that. So I think their priority, which they kind of ceded to in episode 3, is to get Crosshairs under control. In other words, undo his inhibitor chip. Mm-hmm. That's why I think Tech is working on the little headset to study it. And then he could probably fry it. Mm-hmm. Because you notice they indicate that when Omega is talking about, well, it's not his fault. If we take out the chip, he's fine.
Right. And Hunter seemed to not fully believe that. Like, he kind of thought because they don't know the full story yet, So, Hunter does, they all know there's these inhibitor chips, but can they actually use to fully take control of you? They know the clones were acting a bit strange, but they don't know the full story yet. So Hunter kind of still feels a bit betrayed. He doesn't really know that it's not completely his fault,
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the clones, what's interesting when you look at episode 1, back to that when they're in the mess hall, all of the clones without their helmets on look exactly alike.
Yeah, they all got the same haircut now.
Where in the Hidden Enemy, you had ball clones, you had clones with dreadlocks, you had different, even more. They're just a blank slate now. They're just individuals. They're just soldiers now.
Yeah, that was kind of trippy.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until on my second favorite note, because I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they all just kind of, that personality is just gone there,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is so weird seeing seeing Clone Trooper so evil after watching Clone Wars.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but they're, like I was saying earlier, the story that they're being told that hey, they're kind of following orders now, so they're they don't have as much free will, but they're being told also that the Jedi try to take over. They did attack the Chancellor. They went there to arrest him, right? But it looked like once
he attacked
they reported,
first.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I bet Chancellor had a way of spinning it to make it look like they came there to assassinate him, and Anakin tried to save him, and Anakin died in the process,
You notice, died. What you notice is that if you look at episode 3, and by this I mean Revenge of the Sith, and sort of Clone Wars, Palpatine, I think, used the Clone Wars his plan starting the Clone Wars was to discredit the Jedi in the eyes of the public. Because if you notice, look at, and this is the one time I'm going to compliment those 3 episodes with the Martez sisters from Clone Wars. What that's showing is that people don't trust the Jedi anymore because they're off there fighting a war and not caring about other people. That's why I think he did that. That way, when he did say the Jedi attacked me, people would believe it, because I feel like if he just came out in episode 1 and said that, no one would believe him at that point.
Right. No, that's a good point. That's a good point of showing, by constructing this whole war that, first of all, to set the, the powers of the galaxy into a perfect place that he could take over, but also, like you said, that's a good point, getting the Jedi to lose their way. They already maybe losing their way a bit with being so high and mighty, but with the whole war and everything, we saw many times in the Clone Wars, they definitely talked about the Jedi losing their way. Like Anakin was saying, I don't trust the Jedi Council. We saw with Barriss Offee saying that Jedi have lost their way, and that she did all that stuff because she framed Ahsoka because she said the Jedi have lost their way by fighting in this war.
That reveal was crazy, by the way, with Barriss Offee being evil.
That was really trippy.
What? Yeah,
no, they showed, they definitely hinted in Clone Wars that people distrust the Jedi, or the Jedi have fallen from grace, kind of, in Martina's arc, where we saw the people don't trust the Jedi. Martez, yeah, the Martez sisters, and they, it kind of sets it all up, and then the assassination attempt on Chancellor Palpatine, people are like, oh yeah, okay, they tried to kill him. The clones were ordered to take them out. From a regular people's perspective, I think no one would really be call that into question.
Yeah, exactly.
I think people would be okay with that.
Plus, when you had the approval of the Senate and the government, when he went and had that great speech that was played in Bad Batch, where he goes, the attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed, but my resolve has never been stronger. By the way, first off, hearing that speech in a Clone Wars show was amazing.
That was really good.
I love that. The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society. But geez. And then as soon as that ended, I heard Padme say, this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
I heard that too. Yeah, also.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's so. By the way, I just love how once you get to this point in Clone Wars, they seamlessly weave in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
that was so good, dude. Yeah, like so good stuff. I'm so glad we get to go back and explore this, because when Clone Wars was canceled after season 5, it was, it left off with Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order. So we didn't get a proper ending to Clone Wars, but we kind of had the idea like, oh, Ahsoka maybe survived Order 66 because she wasn't part of the Jedi anymore. That was the only real conclusion we got to the series.
And Rex even said she's not. She tried that loophole in season 7.
Right. He did try to use that, and the fact that could have been the end of it, and we never got to go back to it. That we got Rebels, we got some more details in the story, but it we all kind of just accepted Clone Wars was gone. But the fact that we actually we had that season 6 that was released on Netflix, which got some cool stuff with the inhibitor chips and the Sith. But then we actually got to come back and do season 7 and now the Bad Batch. We really see that how much we missed out on. If we never got season 7 and Bad Batch, we probably wouldn't have known any better. But now watching it, it's just like, this is the best, some of the best Star Wars storytelling right here. Seeing season 7, that final arc on Mandalore, and the Bad Batch now continue mixing into everything.
Where he's aiming his gun and his hand is shaking. And I was like, wait a second. I love how they actually retconned a novel. So I'm like, wait, Rex still has his chip?
Right. Yeah. No, it was really good that Clone Wars tied in with episode 3. I feel like that's definitely what they were intending it for always to be.
In fact, a couple of times during the Siege of Mandalore arc, they're doing episode 3 dialogue.
Yeah, that was so good.
That was amazing. And I love how, so they have this scene. So in episode 3, Anakin is leaving a call, like a FaceTime call and everything.
Yeah.
And then right as he leaves, Ahsoka's showing up. So he missed her by that much.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, I see where that lines up.
Yeah, no, that was really good.
But yeah, just think of what we would have missed out on.
I know, dude. And the fact that we're getting Bad Batch now to like continue past it, that's like even better, honestly, because seeing like the fallout, mixing and tying in episode 3 again, but then also going beyond it is like really cool. There's so much that they can explore in this era.
But I'm wondering, it'd be interesting if like in an episode of Bad Batch or something like that, or maybe in season 2, they like start seeding in all the Rebels characters, like we see, like maybe Kanan in the background, or Hera, or Zeb.
Yeah, they could definitely do something with that. They could definitely seed in a few of those characters there.
Maybe we could see the Mandalorian purge.
Oh, right. Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to see. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool because we know. There's definitely some good stuff that they can explore in that era.
There's a very, very strong, the potential is strong with this one.
Yes.
Yeah, and so do you think Darth Vader is going to make an appearance?
So I was thinking about this, and there's no way they couldn't resist putting Darth Vader in the show eventually, just because of the time period and how cool it would be. And, really, a lot of people will be excited for that. So that's my number one reason why he's definitely going to come to the show eventually. But number 2 reason is that they already have the Darth Vader design.
Yeah, they already have the model.
They already have the model.
Looks great.
It looks great. It's already there.
I want to see a meeting between Rex and Darth Vader. That's what I want to see.
That'd be pretty trippy.
Yeah, because when you think about it, they were best bros, and then all of a sudden Rex finds out his general, his brother, is evil.
I know, right? I mean, hey, there could be a few things that is explored with that. I bet they'll use it sparingly, but we could definitely see something with it. Now, okay, I have a question. Okay, go ahead.
What if Vader is the one hunting the Bad Batch with Crosshair?
That'd be pretty trippy. I mean, if Omega is like some sort of force sensitive, then I could definitely see Darth Vader being like, I gotta hunt this down, like this is really important or something.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what were you gonna say?
So my question for you is, do you think Bad Batch will follow the formula of Clone Wars and focus on the Bad Batch, but then have some episodes that focus on side characters like the Sith, or what's Palpatine and Darth Vader doing, or what's going on with some random conflict with other clones or with Rex? Sometimes they would focus on episodes with Ventress, or will they do what Rebels did, where every single episode was always focusing on the Rebels gang?
I think what they'll do is they'll go with the Rebels formula, but use the Bad Batch to like build on the lore of what's going on at the time. Like maybe they go to Mandalore and then we see the purge there, or they go to Camino and we see the. I think that, in other words, the Bad Batch they're going to show more. It's not just going to be like clone stories or stuff, but they're going to show it through the eyes of the Bad Batch.
I see. That's a good way of putting it.
Plus the fact, I think what they should do is after they establish that like the clones are becoming like stormtrooper evil, they should because the Bad Batch, at least Hunter and Wrecker, still look like clones. So what I think they should, and Echo, they should have a part. So the Bad Batch are going to be basically mercs in the next couple episodes. They should show people distrusting clones.
Right, like Saw's group.
Exactly. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, particularly anyone that was trained by clones to fight for the Republic.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you guys, you gonna turn on us too,
Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way, I love how Saw Gerrera has to make a cameo in anything Star Wars now.
Yeah. I mean,
only reason why he can't do it in Mando is because he's dead.
Right. Yeah. They just like have a picture of him or something.
He shows up, so his daughter is looking at a picture.
Yeah. Oh man.
Or they reference him in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. No, Saw's a really cool character. I bet we'll see him again at one point or another, because I really like in Rebels how they had I think 2 or 3 they had like 3 or 4 episodes where they did stuff with Saw Gerrera, and I felt it tied into Rogue One pretty well. So I really hope we see some stuff with Bad Batch.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious if on the Disney Plus version of Rise of Skywalker, they just insert the ship into that scene with Lando and all the ships. By the way, here's what's interesting about that. So the Mando ship is destroyed. So that's not Mando.
That's a good question. Do you think Mando's gonna get a ship that looks exactly the same though?
That'd be hilarious.
I mean, we've seen Boba Fett kind of, his ship blows up all the time, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
It's
repainted.
In the season 2 finale of Clone Wars, where Boba Fett's hunting down Mace Windu, the Slave One explodes.
Once.
Okay.
Once. It happens once.
All right.
But yeah, that'd be hilarious. But here's the thing: all through season 2, that ship was falling apart. It was a piece of junk.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we saw the Twilight Anakin ship get destroyed in season 5 or so with on Mandalore and stuff.
I did love, by the way, how we saw the inside of the Slave One and how it works, how it
rotates.
Yeah, it rotates. That was so cool.
That was like,
it's all these small things that Favreau and Filoni are answering that are so amazing.
I know. And dude, Book of Boba Fett comes out in this year, so
it's gonna be concurrent with Mando season 3.
Right. That's really cool.
Like, yes.
It's really interesting that Mandalorian was really successful, the post-6 era, and now they're kind of basically doing like a whole, all of them, everything Star Wars links together, but the fact that we're getting like this whole little like sub universe that's focused right after episode 6, with Rangers of the New Republic, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, like all these shows that are in that like time period. So it's like its own little section of the Star Wars universe happening there.
Now, here's an interesting thing that I just thought of. Wouldn't it be hilarious if they go with my idea that the Bad Batch go to Mandalore, and then there's a Mandalorian kid just running around. Someone goes, "Din, stop running."
Yeah, I mean, they could do that.
That'd be cool.
They could do that. And that's your same idea.
Because at this point, he is recruited by Death Watch.
That's true. Yeah, he would be, such, I forget, he'd be like 10 or 15 or something by now.
Yeah, but he would be going through training. It's just we see someone, and then when the camera pans over to him, it plays a little bit of the Mando song, like dun 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 dun. All of a sudden you hear this, and I'm like, oh yes.
I bet we'll see that. I bet they could do something like that. Maybe like in a later season.
It's a missed opportunity to not do that.
Yeah, they could do that. This way,
Clone Wars brought in a bunch of really odd characters. I'm pretty sure they can give us just this one thing.
Yeah, I hope they don't put too many like.
That's true.
Like if they Kanan was really cool, but like they could put Mando, but like they shouldn't like overdo it. If what I mean. Like it might just feel like unnecessary. Like if they made it that like Poe's grandparents were like there, it's like, oh, Mr. Dameron, please come see this, and it's just like
pretty much what that means, because then it becomes the cameo batch.
Right. But, there's something I was thinking about is I really want to see bounty hunters in Bad Batch. Like,
oh, yes.
Down. Like, we know bounty
hunters. The Empire hires bounty hunters to go after the Bad Batch.
We could see it. We have Dengar, Aurra Sing, Cad Bane is technically still alive. We know, like, he hasn't died yet. I mean, we know he dies sometime before Boba Fett becomes
we could see
really
that.
Famous. We could see that because they showed us that little scene. You remember seeing that scene?
Yeah, the animatic. Yeah,
the animatic where that was supposed to be a Clone Wars episode. We never got it. I think we could really see that Boba Fett Cad Bane confrontation in a Bad Batch episode. It has to happen.
Or Disney could say, we're just going to complete all of the unfinished episodes and put them up. That's it. All. You can have them.
Yeah. They could do that. There's only like, there was only like maybe like one season's worth of stories they had left to tell after everything was said and done. I think anything that was left was either a little bit unnecessary, would have been cool, or could be put into the post 3 era, which like the Boba Fett and Cad Bane arc.
Yeah, exactly.
Work. So I think they can. I think Clone Wars is done now, and it makes sense to just, I guess, do something new at this point, like Bad Batch. But I think they can definitely, any ideas that were left can be explored in Bad Batch.
Yeah, because as long as they didn't like have a timestamp on when this takes place, they could just throw it in there and say, "Yeah, it's here."
Right. And
obviously they can't have Anakin Skywalker show up as long as it's like no one that died in Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm trying to remember, but there wasn't too many other storylines that were left. Like we had that one, and there was a whole like 4-episode arc where Anakin and Obi-Wan were going to go to Utapau, and they confront Grievous at one point, and they're looking for a giant kyber crystal, like for the Death Star, right? And that was going to be an arc. We got an animatic for that, so it's we still got to see it kind of, and so that was a storyline, and we got there was a comic book for the Darth Maul arc on how he escaped from Sidious's control and ended up in season 7. So, and we got the
cool, by
Dark
the way,
Disciple book.
Is that I watched the animatic for the Bad Batch episode first before actually watching the episode. So when I saw it as an episode, I was like, "Oh, this is way better."
Yeah, that was really cool. That was cool that they released a few of those from the unfinished, storytelling they had there.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was definitely cool to know because, so I knew what was going to happen in those first 3 episodes, but it was still freaking dope.
It was. It really was pretty cool.
Well, I will say, man, Disney Plus has been firing on all cylinders with the Star Wars content, particularly Clone Wars and Mando.
Yeah, they've been doing really, really good. I think Disney Plus. I mean, Disney Plus, considering that they, Netflix is like, the original streaming service, right? And everyone wants to try to copy Netflix, and Disney comes in here and be like, we have a lot of IPs that we own. Netflix has to kind of like either create new content or buy other IPs and put it on their service. And Disney's like, we have so much, content now in our control. We can create our own service and make these, things people want to watch. And I think they've definitely done a really good job of they're the number 2, I think, and other companies want to try to copy that.
Yeah, if they restore the Snyderverse, maybe HBO Max can climb up, which we will have an episode. We will be doing an episode addressing the new merger, but that will be on Wednesday on my Snyderverse day. But we're going to talk about that because that is massive right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to Bad Batch. Which of the 3 so far is your favorite episode?
Ooh, the first one is really tough to top, I think.
Mine's number 1.
Number 1 is really good. So, I mean, number 1 was definitely, a standout because it was really did a lot of really big things. But like, okay, between 2 and 3, then like, which one did you like more? I think I prefer
between 2 and 3. I'd say 3.
Because
mine's conditional. Really, only the parts that had crosshairs in it because I like that whole scene.
Really, I actually liked the 3rd episode, but specifically the parts with Hunter and Omega. That was my favorite part.
That was interesting, but I was saying what I liked the most was that scene because it's really showing. Yeah, these chips do not mess around. They are forced to do it.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a big cool part to see there.
Plus, it's the first time we've seen flamethrowers in so long.
Bring up the flamethrowers from the Landing at Point Rain episode.
That's my favorite Clone Wars episode of all time. Landing at Point Rain. That and then any Mandalore episode. That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I think that was a really standout episode to everyone.
They basically made Star Wars Saving Private Ryan.
Right. It was such a long episode and had so much cool action. So many things happened. It was amazing. That was definitely good.
If you like a war story episode, it's Landing at Point Rain.
Mm-hmm. No, that pretty good.
Now, who's your favorite Bad Batch person?
Oh, this is a good. So okay, Jared, who's your bias? Like who's
my favorite? Hunter.
Hunter. Hunter's I
Hunter or Echo?
Echo's so good. Oh man, I think Tech is funny. Hunter I really like, but oh man, it's tough to say. Before the series started, I was going for Crosshair, and then I had to change.
And then he turns into a genocidal asshole.
Yeah, so I had to change that from Crosshair, but I actually really like Hunter now. I said, he originally was a bit one-dimensional. They were all a bit one-dimensional in the original art.
Still clones,
right? But now they have definitely more development, and Hunter is really good. I really enjoy Hunter there. But Wrecker has some good stuff. I thought he was gonna be like,
you found my Lula.
I thought he was gonna be like just like the beefy guy and just kind of dumb and stupid. But he has more to him than just being like the stupid strong guy. Like he has some like soft moments. He has some funny moments.
He just like blowing stuff up.
Right, and he has some good stuff than just being like, oh, I'm strong. Like when Echo was spending like an hour trying to, unhook the magnetic lock on their ship.
Yeah, like, he just pulls it.
He pulls it. He's like, there, I fixed it for you,
Yeah. And then he starts that food fight, which was fantastic.
That was good, right? That was good.
Oh man, yeah.
No, I like the dynamic. I like there's a little bit of there's some comedy or there's a little bit of humor in the show. Like some people don't like too much banter in Star Wars, but
I thought with Omega it would be too much of that humor, but really when you think about it, and this is what Clone Wars has been great at since the movie, is that they mix darkness with humor flawlessly. I mean, there are some episodes that can be a little annoying, Martez sisters, but they definitely do well with having humor in this, because you don't want to go through a full-on a full-on darkness, but they put in the dark, because ultimately, even though it's a kids show, I do that because no kids show is going to show executing civilians, but it's still a war. They're just telling you a long war story,
right?
And I will say, going back to the war part, I feel like this show so far, even the first episode, was like the best in terms of showing the military side of Star Wars, because I'll be the first to tell you, I've got on the record in the previous episode, I like the non-Force users a lot more as characters than the Force users, because here's why. The Force is always like a MacGuffin. They're like, how'd you do that? You use the Force.
Yeah.
Where in Star Wars, if these guys are doing something amazing, it's because they're that skilled.
Right. I think you're right, and I know you do like your the military stuff, so you must really like the Bad Batch, where it's like basically a military show.
I was in. Like this way, I played the crap out of Republic Commando, and this is the show.
Yeah. Hey. Okay. So now, I got a question for you now. We saw the Republic Commandos. The characters are canon because we saw them in that one episode in season 3.
And those are the ones in the game.
And in the game. So the question for you is, did those the commandos there, did they follow Order 66? Or
some did, some didn't.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the Delta Squad, the ones in the Clone Wars episode, did. I'm not sure about that. I know some did, but some legit refused to. There was actually one squad that thought it was a separatist trick and ended up killing clones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's an interesting thing. What if Delta Squad shows up?
They could. I mean, so in the game, in the Clone Commando game, was it Delta Squad or was it just a group of Clone Commandos? Okay.
It was Delta, which were all of those guys from that Clone Wars episode that commented on the shuttle. That's Delta.
Right. Because I remember there were the Clone Commandos books, and then they had the Imperial Commando, and they had kind of like novels that tied in with the game.
Yeah.
But I think
Game
technically
2 was going to be Imperial Commandos.
right.
But they never made it. But what will be interesting is that actually they could only have the sniper characters show up too, because remember at the end of Republic Commando, and I should cover this game because it's amazing. I'm basically looking for any excuse to play it, where one of their members, Sev, who's the one with like the red splatter on his helmet, he's the sniper. Yeah. He gets left behind on a mission.
Okay.
So it would be kind of cool if at least Sev showed up, or any of the commandos. That'd be so dope.
That we could see them. That'd be pretty trippy. They were basically not used at all in the Clone Wars, so.
Which is a missed opportunity. The only time we ever got to see a commando in action was Gregor.
Gregor, right? That was
which was still cool.
Gregor, which was so good. Well, Gregor as a character himself was really great in that episode, but also just seeing the armor was awesome.
Yeah, and the rifle, the heads-up display. I was like, oh, this is Republic Commando. What I wish that the only way they could make that better is that they started playing the theme from Republic Commando in that part.
Yeah, that'd be so
if Delta Squad shows up and like saves the Bad Batch, and then that theme shows up, my nerd head will explode.
Yeah.
That would be the greatest callback of all time, and I will bow down before Lord Favreau and Filoni.
Yeah, and it is cool to note. I did because I didn't really check on beforehand, but in the credits it does say that Dave Filoni is directing this, or he's in
writing
control
it and all that stuff. Yeah,
he's writing and all that, so which is really good to see. Because
let me put it this way, he's the reason why we got Luke at the end of Mando.
Oh yeah, it's true. Right.
He's the reason why we got all those Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano. So I think that if of all the people who are in charge of this, it would be I can see anything run by Filoni to do this.
Right.
Plus, I think that he'll start bringing in a bunch of obscure clones, because you have to know that Rex and LaQuaine are probably not going to be the only cameos for clone troopers and commandos that show up in this show.
Yeah, it'd be really
no way. There's absolutely no way it's just those ones.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Hey, we're gonna see. Oh, dude, I just realized who they won't resist bringing him in is Hondo Ohnaka.
I knew you were gonna say Hondo.
They're like, dude, like my friends. Like
he sees Darth Vader when he goes, "Oh, I see, we're not friends anymore."
Yeah, I feel like they can't resist. We saw a lot of the culture from the Clone Wars, like the, people that we saw recurring characters like Hondo, like, some of the senators and stuff like that. Like, I want to see some of all that part of it, like the,
that'd be great.
The underworld of Coruscant, like what's happening with senators, with Bail Organa and all this, like, is that going to be something we see, or is it going to be focusing more on the clone side of things? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, because this is an opportunity for them to show other parts of the universe, not just the Jedi, because the Jedi are gone.
Yeah.
What if Mace Windu shows up? Because it's rumored that he's still alive. Right.
That'd
be so great.
No one really gets killed unless you see their body like burned. They're not. You can assume they're not dead.
Even that.
Yeah, even that.
Unless you see them shot in the back by clone troopers.
Right. Hey, maybe some of them survived.
Well, I think George Lucas or Samuel L. Jackson at some point has said, "Yeah, he's alive."
Yeah, Samuel says that he's alive. He's like, "Hey, let me back.
That'd be so cool if he shows up. That would be so good.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I think that's a good place to cut it before we start rambling on. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks for hopping on. You're always welcome on the show. Obviously, because you're a member of the Comics League Network. Speaking of which, like, comment, and subscribe to the Comics League Network. We have many shows starting. Lad and I are thinking of starting up a Bionicle show, which I'm very excited for that.
In case anyone was wondering what was flashing on screen, I was playing with just fidgeting with
he always plays with a Bionicle.
With my Liwa figure. So, maybe I'll
Spirit of Air.
Doing a show. I'm thinking about doing a show. So, it's on my mind, guys. Let me
That'd
know
be great. That'd be very. I'd watch that because, like, this way, Lad knows just about as much of Bionicle stuff as I know about DC. And if you listen to Under Two Capes, you know that.
Oh boy, it'd be fun.
But yeah. So we're gonna do that, and again on Wednesday we're gonna talk about. At least I'm gonna talk about the Warner thing. And Lad, you're always welcome to come on that show, obviously.
Yeah.
And then we have a bunch of great content waiting for you guys. So anyway. Remember, this is the only show that knows that hand shot first.
McClunky.